Versatility is probably the greatest need in a military helicopter. And the Bristol Type 192 is one of the most versatile aircraft ever produced.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another heavy metal diecast video. Today we've got one of those cheaper magazine type ones. It is in the normal sort of blister pack with the cardboard base. Of course, we have ourselves a Bristol Belvedere. It does sound like a bit of a butler, but it is not. It is a British-built tandem rotor transport helicopter, first entering service in 1961. It would be Britain's only tandem rotor helicopter to be made, with 26 of these made in total before its retirement in 1969. So it was a pretty short service life for these particular aircraft here. And speaking of aircraft, our particular model is from RAF 66 Squadron, which was originally formed during World War I in 1916, active again during World War II, flying Spitfires, and post-war would fly a number of jet aircraft before changing over to the Belvedere helicopters in 1961 until its final disbandment in 1969, which marked the end for both No.66 Squadron and the Belvedere here as well. Now, our particular aircraft here, XG449, would be struck off charge in March of 1969 and scrapped in June. But, so this does not exist, but this model does, so we better get this open, I suppose, like usual. Be very careful when you cut these open, because you do not want to hurt yourself. So always be very careful with sharp knives as we check out this model for the very first time. Move that out of the way so I don't stick myself, and open this up. All right. Whew. So we do have a stand here, and it does have, what does it have? The little instructions, no doubt. It should be relatively simple to put this together with any luck. We'll move those instructions out of the way because we don't need them, because we're a grown man. Who needs instructions? So that is your stand set up beautifully. It does have a little bit of information about the helicopter there. We'll put that out of the way. All right, so we obviously have two rotor hub assemblies, if I can sausage finger them out. Now, they are a little bit different, I think, on each one. Yes, so there should be a good way of not getting mucked up with this. So we'll move that out of the way. We'll get our little, well, not so little rotor blades out. We'll take them out and we'll have a little look at those first. We'll move this out of the way. Now, these rotor blades are reasonably detailed, I suppose. They will have different ends, I'm assuming, as you can see there. So we should quickly assemble the rotor blades. Alrighty, while the model monkey assembles those rotors, we'll check out the model itself, and it does look quite nice. Look, there's not a ton of detail. We'll zoom in a fraction and have a little squeeze at some of that detail. There is no pilot figures in there. It is reasonably basic, but if you want this particular type of helicopter, and you want it in diecast and don't want to have to build one out of a kit, this is pretty much your only option. So relatively, it's not, depending on your fuss level is going to be if you're going to bother wanting to grab one of these, but I reckon it does set up reasonably nicely by the looks of it. Straight out of the box, you don't have to do anything pretty much except for putting those rotors on. They look to assemble really easy. You're not going to muck them up either because they are different for each one. And I reckon this does look pretty cool. We'll zoom out a fraction and then we'll put these rotors on because the model monkey has achieved that and got that done. Just slip it in the hole. Beautiful. And of course the other one, and just slip that one in the hole. Beautiful. And this is your assembled model. And not totally expensive either. You probably can pick them up relatively cheap. But overall, as I said, if you want a Belvedere as a helicopter, not a butler, as I said, you got to buy this because there is no other option apart from a model kit if you want to make a model kit. I reckon it doesn't look too bad though. It is, well, it's actually, quite phallic looking. It is a big, long, yeah, it is a helicopter. It does look pretty cool, but I reckon it sets up all right, and there's no difficulty in setting it up. It sits on the landing gear without any dramas. You can spin the rotors to your heart's content, and I reckon it does look pretty cool. And of course, if you do want to put it on the stand, that shouldn't be any drama either. But let's see if I can make it look awkward. There we go. that is your Belvedere on the stand, and I don't mind it at all. For a cheap helicopter, cheap model, I think this does look relatively nice. The rotors themselves are not too bad, not 100% perfect. As you can see, that one's a little bit sort of bananaed. They do, if I show you, they do have a little bit of, probably like when they're cut off, no doubt they're sort of on an assembly line, on a sprue or something, and they get cut off after they're painted. So you've got a little, where it's attached to a sprue on sort of each rotor blade on the end, you've got a little bit of a plastic bit sticking out where you might want to trim that up and put another dab of yellow on there to give it a little bit of a better finish. As I said, depending on your fuss level, I think overall it is pretty cool. I'm not 100% sure in regards to the way these are set up. There is a little gap between those two areas there. I'm not too familiar with this particular helicopter, to be honest. I didn't actually know it existed until I found one as a model. When you think of twin rotor helicopters, this is not one aircraft that comes to mind. You always, pretty much thinking of a Chinook. But I reckon it does, for what it is and what it presents, how it presents, I think this will set up nicely and look great on anyone's collections shelf or cabinet. But I will stop crapping on and finish up the video. The usual, I'll take some photos of this, whack them on at the end. For those of you that want to check it out without my sausage fingers all over it, of course, sausage finger test, it is a reasonable size too, so it's not a small model at all. And of course, if you enjoyed the video or the model, don't forget some of those my way. Don't forget as well to subscribe to the channel if you're enjoying the videos you see. There are a lot of people that watch my videos that aren't subscribers. So if you can do that, couple of seconds, click that little bell, that'll be awesome. And of course, don't forget, as always, I really appreciate everyone that sticks around and watches my videos. You do pay me for the privilege of watching my videos with something more than money, and that is your time. And I appreciate everyone's time so much for dropping past and watching my videos. You've got no idea how much I appreciate everyone that does comment and like and do everything in regards to supporting the channel with your eyeballs and clicks. All right, everyone. Thanks again so much for watching, and you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Cheers, everyone.